Welcome everyone to another SH Figuarts Marvel Cinematic Universe collection. Today I'll be showing you my Avengers Age of Ultron line, the film that was based in 2015, the second Avengers team-up movie. And of course this follows my previous videos, the Iron Man and Avengers Assemble collection. So the Avengers Age of Ultron was in fact the first time Bandai Tamashii made the line for the rest of the Avengers. A bit of history, Bandai started off their Marvel line in around 2013. So at that time they made the Iron Man 2 movie and started off with Iron Man and War Machine armors. And in terms of the first time they dived into the rest of the members was for the Age of Ultron in 2015. So let's first start off with a character that we should have seen in my Iron Man collection. It is the Mark 43. But I only picked this up a few days ago, so I've decided to add this into the Age of Ultron line. And the Mark 43 was in fact the follow-up to the Mark 42, of course, which was the armor worn in Iron Man 3, the old gold suit. So you can see for this one, it's kind of like an upgrade. You can still see quite a lot of gold on the arms and legs. So it is a kind of standard Iron Man figure, the Mark 43. Nothing special in terms of the accessories, it just has the blaster effects, flight effects. And in fact I do have the original version of the Mark 33. I believe they re-released a second one later on. Not too sure on the differences, but this is in fact the original release I have. And it's just another Iron Man to add to my collection. And then next up is Hulk. And as I mentioned, this was the first time Bandai were making other characters. So they were a bit inexperienced in making the other lines. And I feel that this whole figure is too animated comic-like. It doesn't quite look like the one we see in the film. Obviously now Tamashii have made more whole figures, and I definitely recommend the later ones because they are big improvements compared to the Age of Ultron. But I think at that time, 2015, this was kind of like your first time seeing Hulk for SH Figuarts, and it's an okay figure, but looking back, it's actually not the best. Firstly, the colors are too bright. I've heard people say it's like a wasabi Hulk. Just the colors is way too bright for the one we see in the film. The articulation isn't the best when you move it. It creates a lot of gaps. And then for the head sculpt, it does include two. I'm using the one that's more aggressive, which is probably the better one. But you can see that it looks very cartoony, comic-like. So I'll say that this Hulk is an okay figure, but I wouldn't say it's the best in terms of the MCU Hulks we have. The God of Thunder, and Thor is another character that's the first time we saw for SH Figuarts was the Age of Ultron line. They didn't make any for the first two Thor films, so this was obviously his time, that look that he had with the sleeveless. Again, I feel that inexperience from Tamashii at that time, so it's not the best in terms of the proportions, and they've also used a hard plastic cape, which I'm definitely not a fan of. They did this on the Doctor Strange figure earlier on, but obviously since then they've kind of changed to the cloth cape in most of their figures. I'm not a fan of this in terms of the articulation, and it just gets in the way. You can see for the face sculpt, it's not a bad likeness to the character, but there's definitely improvements in the later releases. They did include like two extra alternate eyes. At that time they didn't give us alternate head sculpts, so you can only change the eyes. It's okay again in terms of the look, but what I give credit for this Age of Ultron is we do have the flying effect of the Mjolnir, and this is something that we haven't seen in any of the Thors since then, whether it's the Infinity War Endgame or Avengers Assemble. This is the only Thor figure we have with this flying effect, so if you do want this, this is the only one you can pick up. Again, it's a bit outdated in terms of SH Figuarts, but if you like the Age of Ultron look, then you gotta go for it. And then we have Black Widow, which of course we've seen many characters of her. They're in fact releasing another Black Widow this month, the white suit version for her solo film, so I will do the review of that. But in the meantime, we can take a look at what we have again so far. The first Black Widow released. Tamashii probably had the chance to make an Iron Man 2 version or even a Winter Soldier version, but this was the first time we saw Black Widow, and it kind of has a classic look with the short hair, the bright red colors this time, and then we have the blue batons. It's not a bad figure again, but in terms of proportions, lightness, there's definitely improvements in the later versions. So if you're looking to pick up maybe one Black Widow figure, I would definitely take a look at the ones they released later on. But in terms of accessories, included a lot of hands, alternate guns as well. So it's got the full package for Black Widow, but definitely look at the later releases because it more or less has the same accessories and better lightness. And then we're going to take a look at the Iron Man Mark 45. And this, of course, is the upgraded suit in the movie towards the end battle. So it's probably a bit more memorable and iconic. In my opinion, I do prefer this Mark 45 over the Mark 43. And in between the Mark 44, which was in fact the Hulkbuster, they did actually in fact release an SH Figuarts of that, but I didn't pick it up. It's not that I don't want the Hulkbuster, but for such a large figure, I'm always looking at when's the right time to pick it up, due to display spaces and of course the pricing. Maybe I'll go for it, or I'll buy the Infinity War version. I'll probably just get one of the Hulkbusters, so we're gonna have to wait and see. But in terms of the Age of Ultron line, I'm still missing. So let's get back to the Mark 45, which of course is the final battle version. Quite memorable with obviously Iron Man taking on Ultron. And this figure in fact was again a new release, or a newer release compared to the Mark 43. And it kind of just had your standard effects like the blaster effects, flight effects. Again, nothing special in terms of the accessories. But the look of this Mark 45 I definitely prefer over the Mark 43. And next up we have Captain America. Just like Hulk, Thor and Black Widow, this was the first time we saw a Captain America SH Figuarts. And since then, of course, they've made plenty of the Steve Rogers character. And I'll probably do like another comparison later on all the Captain America figures I have for the SH Figuarts. I think it'll be interesting to see that. This is definitely not one of the best Captain America figures you can pick up. Just like the other characters, they've improved a lot in the later versions. But in terms of the look of it, I actually do prefer this over some of the other characters. Firstly, I'm using the alternate head sculpt, which is the aggressive face. And this is quite unique since they didn't give us an alternate head sculpt for Iron Man, Black Widow or Thor. So it's always nice to see something like this. And I do actually like using this head sculpt because it gives the character a lot more atmosphere and feel to it, especially in certain poses for fighting. Even though the face sculpt, I must admit, it kind of has that animated style again, kind of like Hulk. So you can pass this off as a comic Captain America if you want, but I do like the way they've done this head sculpt. And for this one, of course, they did give us a alternate head sculpt as well as alternate eyes, I believe. So this is the Captain America, which in my opinion isn't the best Captain America SH Figuarts, but certainly one of the better figures in the Age of Ultron line. And of course, the last member of the original Avengers team is Hawkeye, which again I did like a recent comparison of all the Hawkeye releases. Kind of like the other characters, there are better versions of Hawkeye, but if you like the Age of Ultron look in terms of the long sleeves and just the face sculpt, I think this one isn't a bad choice. I believe Hawkeye was one of the later releases, so Tomashinations kind of worked on their sculpt and likeness, and it was better than the Hulk and Thor and Black Widow. So in terms of this line, again alongside Captain America, is one of the better figures. It does include a lot of accessories, whether it's the quiver, the bow and arrow, something we do see in the Endgame and Avengers Assemble edition as well, by the way. So if you're looking to maybe pick up one Hawkeye, definitely check out my video where I did the comparison of all the Hawkeye figures, and then you can make up your choice for that. So as well as Hulkbuster I'm missing, they also released a War Machine, which I don't have. It's just something I didn't go around to picking up. And the other one is obviously Ultron. And for such a crucial character, the main villain, it's a bit odd for me not to pick up the Ultron figure. It's just something I wasn't too keen on in terms of the face sculpt, the sculpt. I actually went for the Hasbro Marvel Legends version, And to me, it's not a bad alternative because I think this one, in terms of the face sculpt, just the overall look, is actually okay, and it's almost like 3 times less the price of the SH Figuarts. There is in fact a Revoltech version which I've seen before in terms of pictures, and that figure actually looks really good, but again, it's not quite the likeness we saw in the film. So I believe the Hasbro Marvel Legends is kind of in the middle, so that is why I went for it. And since the Age of Ultron line isn't the best, I must admit, I feel it's a bit outdated. I feel that there's no need to get like a really quality Ultron, and I'll just settle for the Hasbro version. So that's the overall line. In terms of the other main characters we could see, obviously we're missing Quicksilver and Wanda. Those two characters we just haven't seen for SH Figuarts for the Age of Ultron. They did make a Quicksilver for Hasbro Marvel Legends recently, so maybe I'll pick that up and throw this into the line. And the other one is obviously Vision, the first time we saw him. I know that some Machinations are making a WandaVision version, so you're probably going to have to throw that into this line. But if you enjoyed this collection video, be sure to check out my previous ones, where I did the Iron Man and Avengers Assemble collection. And stay tuned to my channel, as I will be doing more collection videos for the MCU. Thanks for watching, and hope to see you next time.